Well, day 2 of the NFL draft is in the books. The Browns finally went on the clock on Friday. But first of all, Mary Kay, we've got to start here. The Carolina Panthers selecting Matt Corral in the 3rd round of this draft. It kind of throws a wrench in any plans that there might have been to move Baker Mayfield to Carolina. So the question now is, what's going to happen with Baker?
Well, those talks are at least on life support for now. I don't know if it's completely dead or it's just something that that they have put on the way back burner for right now. Again, the Panthers traded up. They drafted a young quarterback. It doesn't necessarily mean that they won't still come after Baker. I mean, obviously, they have been interested in him to this point. The sticking point, though, is that $18.86 million salary. They don't want to pay too much of it. The Browns don't want to pay too much of it, and that is the impasse.
And of course, Ashley, before they even made this pick, they had another quarterback who was making $18.8 million, and Sam Darnold. He's still there. It kind of creates that logjam. And, I don't know how long this plays out, but it's starting to feel like maybe this won't be done this weekend.
Right, and we kind of talked about that on our Orange and Brown Talk podcast, right, that this would be a very, very expensive quarterback battle if they were to come out and get Baker Mayfield on top of keeping Sam Darnold. So it's definitely going to be, I think, interesting to see how this all develops.
Now let's talk about the players that the Browns did add tonight, and we'll start with Martin Emerson, a cornerback. And Mary Kay, that was a little bit of a surprise. I don't think many people, and Andrew Berry even acknowledged it afterwards, not many people had cornerback as a top priority for this team.
Well, I'll tell you what. That's because people really don't listen to Andrew Berry when he says he does not target a specific position. And when you hear these guys tell us over and over again that you can never have too many good cornerbacks, we should believe them. And they were very interested in a number of cornerbacks in this draft. They really liked Kyler Gordon, and they really liked Andrew Booth out of Clemson. Those two guys went off the board very shortly before their number 44 overall pick, and I think at that point it was time to trade down and see if they could get more value out of that pick.
Which, of course, is what they did. Now, one need that the Browns did certainly have, Ashley, was wide receiver. They saved the night in some fans' minds by getting David Bell out of Purdue, and I know you got a chance to hear from him on Zoom tonight.
Yeah, and it's interesting because he's a guy who notoriously did not test well at the combine. He was very slow in the 40 and in all the drills, didn't have a super strong vertical, but he's a high production guy. He's 21 years old, and Andrew Berry said he thinks that he can make his money in the slot here. So I think that's definitely a role that they are kind of anticipating he'll be able to fill.
And you know who we didn't talk about throughout the whole draft process? And as we talked about wide receivers and edge rushers, Alex Wright out of UAB. So, of course, Mary Kay, that was the pick. A really interesting guy, a high upside pick, a versatile guy, kind of intrigued by him.
Yeah, he's got a lot of personality, that's for sure. We had a great time talking to him on the Zoom. He talked a lot about being so excited to work with Myles Garrett and to learn from Myles. He's going to pick his brains. He's going to drive him crazy, and he's hoping to hear from Myles and won't be able to sleep if he does. So he's somebody that can pair with Myles and complement him very well. And, I think if they still sign Jadeveon Clowney, that gives them a really good edge rush.
Okay, so day 2 of the NFL draft in the books. The Browns making 3 picks today. You can see full coverage of everything we did all at cleveland.com/Browns.